98 degrees. And I just filled up 2 more bottles. I've already had 3. It is that hot outside. So this is something, I've not actually seen covered on YouTube at all. People ask a lot on Reddit, how do you get your FTP to a certain amount of numbers? And I think the interesting thing about 4, it seems to be a magical number that some people think because they're looking at the Andy Coggan chart, they see, oh, that's what a average Cat 3 can do. And I'm just gonna tell you from my experience, because the last time I tested my FTP is around 4.5, almost 4.6. That it doesn't necessarily make you a monster that's going to win races when you first, if you're even racing Category 4, Category 5. It's just more of like a ticket that gets you into the race so you can do well. The only difference I've noticed between racing before my FTP was that good, when I dropped a lot of weight, and now is that I can do multiple races in a day and not feel tired. I can finish a race strong. My placing is a little bit better, but that doesn't mean I'm winning races at all. Not just yet, because winning races is a lot more than just fitness. It helps though. I think a lot more people can get to an FTP of 4 or higher than more people can than they think they can. The key is consistency and quality of training. What worked for me might not work for a lot of other people, but I do see some things that a lot of people don't do that I do that I think did help me. So remember, the important thing is the power to weight ratio, and you have to, one thing when you're coming up with a strategy of how to increase your FTP is, do I need to work on my wattage or do I need to work on my weight? There gets to a point where, regardless of how big or small you are, I think there's a certain physiological wattage limit of what, the average amateur can do. So if you got, say if you're topped out, your FTP is, you haven't hit past 320 watts, you might want to start looking at if you have some pounds to lose in a healthy way. So without a doubt, if you're looking to get an FTP of 4, you've probably been riding for a while. It's important to have a decent base of fitness, period. So either from just accumulative years of riding around, which I spent a good first year when I started biking, just commuting a lot on the bike. It started off being a half hour each way, and I didn't know what I was doing, so I was just going as hard as I could each way, every day for like weeks on end, until it rained, and then that would give me the break that I probably should have had anyway, and I'd keep doing it. So, but going into that, the build up to have a fitness that's going to last you a while, and it's not just going to be a sharp peak that just ends really quick. I advocate doing base training, but I don't advocate necessarily doing 20 hours a week, because that's very unsustainable for the average person, the average adult that has, other commitments. Unless you're in college, maybe. Even then, getting 20 hours a week on the bike, that's kind of hard to do. I'm a big fan of sweet spot base training and sweet spot in general. And I'm not talking about rides that when you average it out, it happens to be in a tempo zone. I'm talking about doing intervals that last, you start building up from 10 minutes on up to 30, sometimes even longer, right below threshold, that comfortably hard zone, and doing that for, a good 12 weeks of consistently doing that type of training, eating well and sleeping well. I use TrainerRoad. I did that for the last, my last season. Doing the sweet spot base from TrainerRoad is tremendously beneficial, and I did pretty much all my riding except for maybe riding outside once a week. Even then, I still did 2-hour training sessions on the trainer. It was a really good, solid 7 to 9 hours a week on the Wahoo kicker, which makes it a lot easier than, say, using a Kinetic. But if that's what you have, just use it. Don't feel like you have to go out and get a Wahoo kicker. But the nice thing with the Wahoo kicker is that you just sit there and pedal. You really don't have to think about it, and match up your RPM, get your power output just right. So beyond that, that's the big takeaway I learned, was getting that best bang for your buck with the sweet spot training and doing it very consistently. Lots of good quality over that period of time. And within that period of time, I did lose some weight too, which you can do during sweet spot training, because you're not depleting your glycogen doing all those hard intervals that really kind of beat you up anyway, and you really can't sustain for a very long time. So after this, I'm gonna probably do another video, part 2, which is just as important. It's about, you know, nutrition and what you need to do, what I learned to do in terms of feeding myself that worked, the types of foods I eat. See you later.